What is up, Undeserved Flavor Nation? Thanks for coming back. Yeah, I'm still driving. I do that a lot. I just had to say something real quick here about types of Christian universalism or universal salvation. Now, I don't claim to know all the different types, but what I've been hearing is a variety of different assumptions of what happens post-mortem. So obviously, if you're a Christian universalist, you believe all dogs go to heaven. We're all going to be restored, redeemed. We're going to live in bliss eventually. But there are variations of understandings amongst Christian universalists in that, like, what happens when you die? Because obviously not everybody's a believer in Jesus Christ on earth. And not every Christian is a good Christian, or maybe a well-qualified Christian to bypass the judgment without, or, bypass it unscathed. Well, my personal understanding is, and I believe it's totally scriptural. I also believe that there are some scriptures that could be used to refute what I believe, but I think that there's some misunderstandings, some misinterpretation. There's a lot of muddy water there. We're dealing with ancient texts, we're dealing with ancient cosmologies, and I'm not throwing scriptures out. I'm not saying that the scriptures that don't line up with what I believe, well, it was just an ancient cosmology or an ancient text. And no, I mean, I am and I am not doing that. What I'm alluding to here is that I do believe I understand what they're saying, and I do believe that the vast majority of Christianity today doesn't understand it in the context that it was written. And I may sound kind of high and mighty or condescending by saying that, but honestly, like, the vast majority of Christians today don't think for themselves. They just, it's like preachers are going to their denominational schools or their whatever school that fits their flavor of Christianity. They're biased to their stream. And then your everyday Christian, they're just eating whatever they're fed at the pulpit, and the vast majority of Western Christians are just like coming up with whatever they can come up with on their own with a modern day translation of an ancient text, which is a bad idea because there's a lot of mistranslations and errors. And not only that, but if you don't understand the culture of the people to which the scriptures were written, or if you don't understand the context in which the scripture was intended to be understood, like, there's a lot that goes into it that, like, people just don't care to dig into and think is relevant. So anyway, I have a problem with rabbit trailing, so I'm going to get off the rabbit trail here. You'll find me on another one here in about 30 seconds probably. Anyway, so types of Christian universalism. There are people who believe that there is a form of purgatory, whatever that may look like, some kind of an afterlife cleansing process that may be punishment, jail time, essentially, post-mortem spiritual jail time where you're not enjoying yourself for a period of time. It may be equal to a human lifetime. It may be thousands of human lifetimes until you relent and decide to accept salvation. I don't believe that personally, because I think it's kind of like God is still ruling with an iron fist if that's the method that's getting people into heaven or getting people into bliss or getting people to accept salvation. And God doesn't rule with an iron fist. God is love. Love, like, look at, like, Song of Solomon love, Romeo and Juliet, like, die for you love, cruciform Christ-like love. He didn't come to say, yeah, I'll die for you to save you, and then I'm going to come back and burn up all the gays and Jews and Muslims. No, he didn't do that. And not only that, he didn't say he was going to basically throw you in a torture chamber until you submit once you die. So I don't believe in any of that purgatory stuff. Now, to each their own. That's cool. If that's where you're at, totally have at it. And I'm glad that in my circle, we don't find that as a point of contention. We don't have to argue about that. It's not that important. But my personal belief is that once you die, you know, like I've listened to hundreds, if not thousands, of near-death experience accounts where, you know, like people will go, they'll have, you know, a life review, they will, you know, well, there's a lot of different types of near-death experiences because there's a lot of hellish ones too, but I believe those are kind of metaphorical. There's a lot of learning. You know, one of the things that they all have in common is they didn't actually die. They came back. So were they actually in hell? Because there are people that say, well, Jesus guided me through hell and told me that I'd be going here if I died today, if I didn't come back and, you know, repent and get my life right. Well, you can't really you can't form a religion or a worldview around somebody's experience like that. Yes, it may bolster a current worldview of hell, you know, but like, was that person already conditioned to believe that when they die without Jesus, they're going to hell? You know, because it's pretty common around the world, not everywhere in the world. There's a lot of places that don't know anything about Christianity. But most often, the people that have near-death experiences where they actually have a hellish experience are people that have a preconceived notion or idea or understanding of Christianity. Now, I do believe in spirits, you know, fallen spirits. We're not going to get into all that. I do believe that, you know, if you die and you're absent from the body, you could end up maybe in the hands of some tormenting spirits or something for an experience. But I don't really think it's all that complicated. And I think sometimes, like, maybe you're allowed to have an experience. Maybe you're a really rebellious person and you need a good licking. You need a good butt whooping. And your dad loves you and he doesn't want you to roast in the flames of your own sin, the hell of your own making, you know, while you're on this earth. And if you're not ready to come into bliss, there may be some things you still need to learn yet. So you might go through an experience, you know, like one of the guys, it's a really popular, I don't remember his name. Anyway, he died or he, you know, was pronounced dead. He had some kind of an ailment and was pronounced dead, and then had an experience where he was walked down some halls of a hospital, and all of a sudden these who he thought were doctors and nurses turned into essentially like tormentors, and they started like tearing at his flesh. Well, he wasn't in the body, he was in spirit, but they ravaged him completely and gouged his eyes out and did a bunch of nasty things to him. And then he had this thought to call on Jesus or pray or whatever, and he prayed and Jesus saved him, and he came back. Well, I mean, you can't really, the guy didn't, he came back. That's, you know, the point is he came back. That wasn't, you can't really say that's where he would have spent eternity, because we have no way of knowing that, because he came back. So was it just an experience? Was it something just to shake him up and wake him up? Was God doing something to, you know, get in touch with him and give him a second chance, second lease on life, you know, in a way? But so yeah, there are different types of Christian universalists. There are people who believe in different types of afterlife punishments. There are universalists who believe that there's no punishment whatsoever. And I believe that personally. I believe I don't believe our Father is, you're going to die and you're going to go there and there's going to be, you know, demons or something waiting for you, or even like tormentors waiting for you to like make it look like you're in hell for any amount of time. I think when you die, the veil is lifted. Now you see glory unveiled. You see Jesus unveiled. You understand unveiled. The brain has the brain is not where your consciousness lives. The brain is like a filter. It filters your true all-knowing consciousness that is one with God. It filters it down to this finite, whatever it is you need in the moment to live as a natural human being. So we're not going to be able to understand it all. Anyway, so what I believe is that once you die, the veil is gone. There's nothing keeping you from believing the truth. Like any lies, any misunderstandings that you had about God and reality and Jesus and whatever is necessary to be saved, whatever. When you die and you're standing in front of truth himself, it's not going to be possible for you to believe. It's like if your back is turned to a table and there's a glass of water on that table, but last time you saw it, there was no glass of water there. So you believe there's no glass of water there. Someone comes up to you and says, there's a glass of water on that table now. You have two options without looking at it. This is hypothetical, obviously. You can either believe that person or you can be like, no, when I saw it, there was no glass of water. Either way, the glass of water is there, whether you believe it or not. You turn around and look, you're going to say, oh, there's a glass of water there now. Just like when you die and go to heaven or go to be in the presence of God or whatever you want to call it, you're not going to be like, no, the glass of water is not there. It's not there. I never believed. No, you're going to be like, oh, okay. Well, this is awesome. This is amazing. And any of that false hurt, pain, whatever it is that caused you to be so stubborn and rebellious, anything you experienced on earth that kept you from believing the truth and understanding the love of the Father, it's literally vaporized. I think that's the lake of fire right there. Instantaneous with eternally lasting effect. The eternal punishment is right there in a flash of a second, and it's over with. Because it's faster than you could even comprehend it, because it's as fast as turning around and seeing the glass of water and it's gone. Boom. Now your idea that there isn't a glass of water there is gone, because now you know the glass of water is there. That's how fast you realize the truth when you're standing face to face with truth. In my opinion, that's what I think is going to happen. Now, I don't think like your whole life is going to be like washed away and disappeared. I think you'll have like a life review. God's going to walk you through, this and that and the other thing. You're going to have a conversation. He's going to be like, oh, but I love you anyway. He's going to comfort you. That's what most of the NDEs I've heard who go through the life review have said, is they were really embarrassed and ashamed and not looking forward to certain events as they were coming to them. And then when they came up, they were completely reassured by the Father that He loves them, and they have no ill effect on their eternal standing, And then He'll go into showing events of where you actually cared for somebody or did something positive, and He'll, commend you for it, and, say like, this is what matters. This is what always mattered, Anyway, so I know it was kind of a ramble. It wasn't really a concise video, but if you have any other questions or have any comments or whatever, throw it in the comment section. Hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. Subscribe. If you have any topics you'd like me to cover, throw it in the comment section, and I'll check it out and potentially put it in a future video. But yeah, so there it is. In recap, if you're still here, types of universal salvation believers. Some believe in a purgatory or some kind of a purging or a period of time where you may be in a hellish type of experience to cleanse or purge or correct whatever it is needs to be cleansed or purged or corrected, and then you end up going on to restoration and bliss. But then there's varying degrees of that. And then there's what I believe, and that is all that hell nonsense is hogwash. And once you're standing face to face with truth, all the lies are washed away immediately, burned away immediately. Whatever metaphor you want to use for lies and hurts and pains and untruths being disintegrated immediately, it is what it is. So there it is. Thanks again for watching. Yeah, hit subscribe and ring the bell. That might help too. Have a good one.